And then let's start. Okay, good afternoon and welcome to week 10, right? We are in week 10. So today's discussion will be based on a very, very important key concept in the marketing, and that is positioning, differentiation, and the value proposition. You could see there are three different conceptual construct which we will trying to understand in this today's session with lots of company specific examples. But keep in mind all these three construct or all these three concepts comes together, like positioning, differentiation, and value propositions. All these three concepts are interrelated. So we'll see that how they are interrelated. But individually, we will try to understand the positioning, differentiation, and value proposition in depth. Uh, Although I am assuming that you have a kind of basic understanding of these term, these concept, because most like when we like dealing with the segmentation, targeting, and positioning, somehow we try to touch on those concepts on the surface level. But in today's session, we'll try to have a kind of little bit more understanding, so that for example, in the final term, if you will see one small case study, so probably you have to relate some of the concept like positioning, differentiation, and all from that particular case. So through the company a specific example, we'll try to understand how to uh, understand these concepts in a better way. So keep in mind, this is the like overall idea of understanding today is positioning, differentiation, and value proposition. A small recap what we had in the week 9. The last week we discussed about a very important topic, strategically very important topic, that is corporate strategy and marketing planning. So we have seen the four broad steps involved in the corporate strategy, and we covered that one with good example. Like all the four steps are like defining the company mission statement, and then setting the goals and objectives, and then developing the strategy for the business SBUs, is business portfolio. We have seen that using the matrices. If you could remember BGC matrix and the product market expansion grid, we tried to look at the current and the future position of the SBUs, strategic business units, or the portfolio. And then finally we have seen how to manage and all the strategy, and how to do the controlling and monitoring all those activities. And and then finally we have seen the application of the SWOT analysis, one of the another tool which is very important, that is SWOT analysis. So strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threat. So that's what we have covered in the last week 9. But today's lesson is all about uh, discuss the how company differentiate and position their products for the maximum competitive advantage. Uh, Positioning of or the differentiation of their product, or the positioning of their offerings could be in terms of goods, services, and the other steps which can be marketed by the marketeer. So keeping those in mind, so broadly the key concept which we will cover is like, I will give a small synopsis on the some basics of marketing. Once again, it will be a small part of discussion, so it's a kind of revisiting what is marketing. And then using that, we'll try to relate our understanding, try to relate with the positioning, differentiation, and value proposition. So altogether we have four different objectives. Okay, not this one. Okay. So idea is like we'll go through one by one, the positioning, differentiation, and value proposition. And before that, just a small recap on what is marketing. So in terms of understanding marketing as a 5 steps, if you could remember, the idea or the purpose of marketing is to create value and capture values from the customer in return. So creating the value for the customer, and creating and capturing the values in return. So we define the marketing as a process uh, which involves a chain of activities, and idea is to create values for the end customer, and finally uh, capturing those values from the customer in return. So 5 stages are there, starting with the first one is easy to understand, like understanding the marketing and customer needs, wants, and demands, followed by designing a customer driven marketing strategy. It's a kind of small recap. We have seen all these 5 steps before. So the third step is making the integrated marketing program using the marketing mix, 7 P's or extended 7 P's, or primarily the 4 P's of marketing. Then building the profitable relationship, and finally capturing values from the customer to create the and the profit and customer equity. So some of the terms we will try to understand once again. So how one can do the how could a company can drive or design a customer driven marketing strategy. For the customer driven marketing strategy, broadly the concept which covers this concept is STP, segmentation, targeting and positioning. So and we know the STP is the essence of marketing. So we learned about the segmentation, dividing the market into the different small segment, then targeting, selecting the right one. So we have seen, if you could remember, that we have 5 different criteria to select the right or appropriate segment. uh, it has to be measurable, reachable, and so all like sustainable and all those criteria. And then you have positioning. So segmentation, targeting, and positioning. So whenever we talk about positioning, we also talk about the differentiation. So, and if you could see in this diagram, it shows that a value proposition is a mix of both, taking into the consideration positioning strategy and differentiation strategy. So idea is, in this session, first we will try to understand positioning, then we will move to the concept of differentiation. Then the third phase, we will try to understand the value proposition, which is a combination of both the positioning and differentiation strategy. At the end, we have some very extreme concept, that is unique value proposition, that is UVP, unique value proposition. That will be a very smart synopsis on that one. But don't worry, we will have like lots of company specific example to understand all this positioning, differentiation, value proposition all together. So customer driven marketing strategy means you have to do the proper segmentation, you have to target the right segment, and then clearly you have to position and differentiate your product in that particular market. So that was all about the customer driven marketing strategy. Whereas managing the customer relationship, building a profitable relationship, does cover the idea of CRM, customer relationship management. And it's like customer relationship management, CRM as a broad, it's all about retaining, like acquiring a new customer, retaining the existing customer, and building a profitable relationship with the loyal customer. So it covers a broad range of activities. Like once the marketing job is over and selling started, and after selling sales services, there are lots of activities which revolve around customer relationship management. And nowadays, organizations, they are using the ERP, enterprise resource planning software management solution, in order to get the insight, what is inside the insights inside under the customer relationship data. Like you have lots of customer data, so what are those data, what important insights are there. So that will help you to build profitable, long-term sustainable relationship with the customer. And so and the okay, so you understood. And also the like in terms of, you see here the capture value, the fifth step is capturing value from the customer in return. And that's what like company is like standing for. So you need to just like, you need to find out what returns you get. So for that, we have a customer like concept, like customer lifetime value is the amount by which the revenue from a customer over time can be generated. We have a concept of share of customer, is a portion of the customer purchasing. And also we have a concept of building a customer equity. So how to define the term customer equity? Customer equity is the total combined customer lifetime values of the company's customer. I mean to say, if you have 10 different products, with each product you have the respective number of customers. So taking all those customers along with all the product lines, if you combine everything, that gives you some sense of what we termed over here as a customer equity. So in order to calculate the values from the customer in return, you have a concept of customer lifetime value, or the share of customer, or the customer equities. These are the indicators which helps you to understand what sort of return you get it from the marketing activities. That's what is like, what it's a kind of small overcap or synopsis of the last what we have learned. But so let's move to the positioning, differentiation, and value proposition one by one in greater detail. Hope till now everything is clear. So let's start with positioning. We have two different definitions of positioning. One is from the company point of view and one is customer point of view. So let's go through the first one, although both are similar, almost same. So a company can define the term positioning in terms of determining the distinctive place you want your product to occupy in the marketplace relative to the competitors and in the minds of target customer. Whereas as a customer point of view, you can think about a product's position is the way the product is defined by consumer on the important attributes, the place the product occupy in the customer minds relative to the competing product. Like almost both are the same thing, but from the different perspective. So positioning is clearly positioning your product and services in the mind of customer. Just hang on. Okay, so let me continue here. Okay, let's take some example. If we have a case of Volvo or case of BMW or case of Prius or a subsidiary from Toyota. So what comes in your mind if we talk about Volvo? For several decades, it's the company Volvo, they claim that their products are very, very safe. So they position themselves as a car which is very, very safe. So safety was their positioning since decade. Okay, take the other example of BMW, German manufacturer, right? So what comes if I'm talking about the BMW? What comes in your mind? Probably the concept of performance. The car has a better performance than others in the market. That is for the BMW. Think about Mercedes. What comes in your mind? Luxury, something stylish, very luxury. Okay, the last one, Prius, a subsidiary of Toyota. This one is a bit difficult one, but if probably if you could see that what is written there, hybrid synergy drive. By reading this, what comes in your mind? Probably, although it is a harder one, but probably some sort of some combination of words like maybe the eco-friendly, or maybe the sustainability, maybe more efficient. So those words are coming in your mind if you see this sort of brand, right? I'm talking about the positioning, how these three firms have positioned themselves in the mind of customer. What comes in your mind if you if you think about Tesla? Is it a kind of eco-friendly? What comes in your mind when you talk about Amazon? Is it a fast delivery or convenience? So something like that. It depends. Like I'm talking about how the company they have positioned themselves in the mind of customer. Take this case of a small case of Volvo automobile. Just go through this one and just try to have a proper like a bit understanding. The brand Volvo automobile positioning statement is best in safety, and these are proper documents of the company. The target audience they have clearly mentioned. And if you're claiming, what is very important, if company is claiming something, you must have some supporting evidences to claim that support, right? So for that, for this company, Volvo, they are having a supporting documents, logo, coverage plan, promotes results in the test drive, crash test drive. And also they are claiming that they are world first pedestrian detection features is integrated in their system. So, and finally, you could see that there is a conclusion which says that in the double quote, if you could see, the discover the high standard of performance, design and safety of the 2013 Volvo S60 sports sedan, now available with all wheel drive. On the top of its slick design, your more powerful engine and advanced stability traction control. So all these are, although it's a technical word, but in that particular industry, they are supposed to position themselves if they are having something unique, or if they are offering, the company is offering something which their competitors are not offering. So this could be a kind of way of, we'll see that how to how can we create a kind of positioning statement, or how can we create differentiation statement, differentiating statement. So this is one example we have seen in the, so okay, so the marketeer, they use the tool called positioning map or the perceptual map for their product and services. So marketeers use this map to position their offerings, maybe the goods and services and others, in the mind of customer. So what marketeers does here? They try to select some sort of some attributes of the product and services. So some of the attributes you will, as per this conceptual map, perceptual map or the positioning map, we have a different attributes of the goods and services on the horizontal line as well as on the vertical line. So idea is to, it's a kind of challenge for the marketeer to find out those important attributes of the product or offerings that the customer they wanted to, or first, like what you wanted to position, marketeer, as a marketeer, you wanted to position, keeping the mind of the customer. So what do you think that which attribute of your firms or your offerings will attract more the customer in compared to the competitor? So idea is to get those bundles of attributes. So select some of the attributes on the horizontal line and some of the attributes on the vertical line. And then in the perceptual mapping, what you do, you try to position your firm first and then see where the competitors has their positioning. And that will be a kind of, it will give you the kind of clear positioning statement that will be like give you the kind of advantage that you are clearly in that domain, in that particular space, in that particular spatial space. So let's see that what is like positioning mapping or perceptual mapping. It's a kind of visual technique designed to show how the average customer, a target market consumer, understand the positioning of the competing product in the marketplace. The word perceptual comes from the word perception. As I said, perceptual mapping, it's kind of how the customer perceive. So the word perception is important here, how they perceive all the products which is offered in the market, your product, your competitor product, all together. There are other ways to do this sort of mapping, like we could have, if you could remember, we have gone through the spider graph when we were discussing about the branding and positioning. In the week 4 or 5, we talked about the spider graph or radar graph. So there are other ways. So first try to understand the perceptual mapping. There are definition of perceptual mapping. Is a way products are positioned in the mind of consumer. So what is important? We have seen 3 different cases, right? Volvo, they position themselves for safety. BMW, they position themselves as the best performance. Whereas we have seen the third case of the Toyota, subsidiary of Toyota, they position themselves in terms of eco-friendly. So let's see that. If one can try to create the positioning map for the example we just now we had. So what I did is, let's take this example. I have labeled, what I have done is, like, I have labeled those important attributes which marketeers they wanted to position in the mind of consumer. So some of the marketeers, for them, safety is important, someone for performance, someone is for eco-friendly or kind of sustainability, and so kind of. So these are the different attributes you need to clearly identify as a marketeer. And then what I did is, on the x-axis, on the horizontal line, on the left side, I labeled as a safety. right side as a performance. Whereas on the vertical axis, what I did, eco-friendly I put on the top, whereas the traditional way of doing manufacturing auto cars and all is I put as a at the bottom as a traditional one. So let's say like where the Volvo has position, they positioned as like mostly on the safety, but in the traditional car manufacturing. Whereas for the BMW, they have like positioned themselves as a, like better performance in the traditional car sector, manufacturing sector. Okay, what about the Prius, which we have seen as subsidiary of Toyota? I was googling about this firm, like this product, like the product line of Toyota, and uh, I I came to know that it's like a highly efficient, eco-friendly product. I was just googling about the top 10 high efficient car in the world, and Prius Toyota came as the first one, highly efficient and highly eco-friendly. So that's why I like somewhere I put it in the bit in between, but on the top, very close to the eco-friendly. The same way you can do it for the others, like Tesla, in the same sector, automotive mobile sector. Tesla, where you would like to position themselves, where position this product. Yes, somewhere in the eco-friendly and also in the performance, they are taking care of both the important attributes while positioning their product in the market. So somehow you got a kind of understanding how to position yourself, how the company they are trying to position in the mind of customer. Okay, we have some more examples from the different industry. Okay, the apparel industry. You see in the right side, they found that what are the important attributes: performance, leisure, fashion, and technology. And on the basis of that, you could see that where Nike they are trying to position, or Adidas or the Puma, all these are the sporty look. You could notice that there are some sort of technology involved in terms of designing, in terms of giving the kind of comfort. There are some sort of technology, some degree of technology is involved in designing, technically designing the comfort level of shoes. So they have positioned the Nike, Puma, and Adidas. They have positioned somewhere in terms of performance as well as in technology. Whereas you see the H&M is a well-known brand for the fashion brand, and also like more comfort. So they have positioned in the another quadrant, like where it is somewhere in the leisure and the fashion. So this is the way, as a marketer, what is important. Just try to understand what are the important attributes related to your product and services. And then first you try to draw this sort of perceptual mapping map. So ideally, like if you are taking the 2 by 2 matrices, or on the 2-dimensional space, idea is to have 3 to 4 different attributes. And then on the basis of that, just try to put your company's offering where you think it's like it will fall, and then do the same thing for the competitors. And then you just have a kind of communication with your customer that yes, this is the domain, this is the space our product is going to position. It's going to meet the needs and demands of the customer. As I said, there are other ways to do the same sort of positioning. And think about over here, what we did. We just consider only the 3 and 4 important country like attributes, like eco-friendly, safety, performance. So few attributes I have selected. Think about a company who's thinking that their positionings are relatively more in numbers. I mean to say that there are more attributes to position. So you probably, if there are like more than 4 positionings attributes, probably this positioning map is not going to work. So in that case, we have a spider chart positioning map. So what is a spider chart, also called as a radar chart? Is a graphical method of displaying multivariant data. Multivariant data. So like data in a sense, like multivariant means variables are having a different degree of level of, it varies. And also you're in the form of 2-dimensional chart of 3 or more quantitative variables represented on axis starting from a same point. So I'm sure like you are familiar with this uh, spider graph or spider chart. Yes. So what I said, if you have more attributes which you would like to position yourself, or if you wanted to see how your positioning is somehow better or not better in terms of competitors, this spider graph will give you help you in that regard. In that regard. So over here you see any of the bank. Suppose they have come up with the in the left hand side the bank A, B, and C and D. The four banks are there, and you wanted to see as your bank as a is it like better positioning compared to the bank B and C and D. You wanted to do some sort of as a marketeer. These are your tasks, right? How better how beautifully you have positioned compared to compared to the others. So what you did, like you identified five different attributes. So the customer care, speedy services, reliability, empathy, accessibility, or range of services. So on those five attributes, you try to draw a kind of a spider graph, radar chart, and then you did the same thing for yourself with the different on the scale of 1 to 9 or 0 to 9 means on the 1 to 10. Remember, yes, 1 to 9 you have done the scaling, and then you point it out, and then you draw a kind of area. So finally what you will do is you will use some sort of heuristic. You will apply some sort of algorithm to calculate some sort of calculate the areas for your positioning. Then you will try to calculate the areas for your competitors or positioning like B, C, and D. And then if your area comes bigger than your competitors, that means that gives clearly indicate and that gives a kind of clear indication that your positioning is better than your competitors. Otherwise, if you think that your positioning is somehow in between bank A and bank D, then probably you will think about which attributes you wanted to have a further upgradation, or which one you wanted to have a kind of moderate level. So this sort of analysis will help you, will engage marketeer in a very proactive way. That's what is the idea, like to engage the marketeers in a better way, so that the end result, the good decision, so that they can do the they can take the better decision. They can become a better decision maker. That's what is the overall idea. So what is important, the way we have just discussed about the product positioning or the offering, or the offering and the positioning of the offerings, company offerings. You can do the same thing for the brand position, like branding as well, right? So product in fact product is as a brand. You can treat that both are the same thing. Same thing. So the brand positioning is a process of shaping how the target audience perceive your brand relative to the competition. So just like a product positioning, how is your how the customer audience perceive your product relative to the competitors. Brand positioning is how your brand, how the customer they perceive something about your brand. So similarly what we did here, we can do it the same thing for the brand positioning as well, right? See here some of the examples you could see. What about Kmart? They position themselves as low prices for the life, whereas the other company has for example barista promise love your beverages or let us know. Or maybe you could see the Netflix. See what next is their positioning. I mean, you will see watch anytime, anywhere, and cancel anytime. So these are their positioning statement, like send better email and all. So you will see the lots of positioning statement if you Google their respective company specific website. You will see the way they have positioned themselves. So I was talking about brand positioning, and there are brand positioning strategies. So again, for the branding, how the consumer they perceive that particular brand, this is just like a perceptual mapping for the product. You can do the perceptual mapping for the brand. So again, on the brand, there are two different attributes they have taken into consideration. The one attribute is extensive personalized service. That some of the brand or some of the retailers, they think that uh, they are providing the the degree of customizations or level of customization is higher in compared to the others, whereas the other attribute is high perceived quality and status. So on that these two parameters, you see how where the mayor and the David Jones, they are the highly personal, like they believe, I mean to say, like they offer a premium product. If you go to the Australian market, and you realize that the prices they quote are sort of kind of higher than the other retail shops. So they perceive that like they position themselves as a like high quality and status, and also they believe that they are having extensive personalized services. Whereas what do you think about Kmart and Target? Like not sure, like not exactly like the positioning like the David John Mayers, how they position. So that if think about the Kmart, yes, it's a kind of moderate level of perceived quality and status, very true. And also like like you won't get a much personalized services in the case of Kmart, whereas the Target somehow they maintain on the quality and status. So this is the way different brands can position themselves. So once you understand the positioning to a bit greater detail, what is important as a marketeer? All the company marketing mix effort must support the positioning strategy. I mean to say that all the marketing mix element, pricing, your if you are claiming as a positioning that it's more and more convenient, faster services, I mean to say like you need to have a more number of channel or distribution channels, so that it can be easily customer can easily approach and buy the product. So whatever is your positioning statement, it has to be supported with all the department who are working around the 7 P's or the 4 P's of marketing. Or so all department has to coordinate together in order to have a kind of proper positioning. And product positioning should evolve gradually as it adopts to the changing marketing environment. So all these all these activities are important as a marketeer. You need to take care of that. So what we understood is like product positioning. We understood uh, the 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 positioning map or the perceptual map. We have seen with some of examples, and then just like a product positioning, you can think about a brand positioning. There is a confusion all the time, like positioning is it a market positioning or is it a product positioning? So keep in mind it is a kind of holistic one, it's an integration of both. So whenever you talk about the positioning, although it matters, it talks like more closely to the how you're positioning in the mind of customer, but it also does at the same time, it also talks about how you're positioning in the market. So both are the same thing. So product positioning, market positionings can be, these terms can be changed or can be used interchangeably. So almost like the same thing. So let me ask you, like, is there any doubt till this? Is there any doubt? Otherwise, we can move further. Or
No, sir.
if you have anything to ask or add, feel free to ask now.
It's all clear.
Others? Okay. So once we understood positioning, next step is to understand differentiation. Keep in mind, uh, you need to identify what sort of differentiation strategy or what sort of positioning strategy the company has followed in the case study, which will be a small, it will be like, it is very small case, 1 page case. So you just have to pick up some of the things from the case, and you have to build up the argument around that. So it won't be a big thing, but keep in mind the small case study will be a part of your end-term exam. So let's try to understand now differentiation. Positioning, differentiation, value proposition, and then unique value proposition. So we are trying to understand all these concepts one by one. So what is differentiation then? You understood the positioning in the mind of customer. Then what is differentiation? designing your product offering so that it has one or more unique qualities that are valued by your customer, and it has to be consistent with your chosen positioning. I mean to say, if your positioning is, statement says that you are having a cost leadership, suppose, or maybe the product quality leadership, I mean, you must have in the differentiation, you must try to show that how it is different, how it is unique, your product is different. So something like that. It has to be consistent with your chosen positioning. What I said, your positioning, differentiation, and the value proposition all has to be consistent. All three concepts has to be consistent with each other. And something differentiation which has to be, you are able, if you are saying that you are differentiating on this unique parameter or unique attributes, it has to be valued by the customer. I mean to say, those attributes has to be, those benefits uh, has to be look better in terms of for the customer. So it has to be valued by the customer. So marketeers, they use different tools to differentiate themselves. I think uh, differentiation is very, very important to understand. I have very, very good content for the differentiation. So let's go through this. As I said, marketeers or the company or the organization have many tools to differentiate their product or offerings compared to the competitors. So to find the point of differentiation, marketers must think through the customer entire experiences with the company's product and services. What it does mean? I mean to say, you get various opportunity to get in touch with the customer. So at each and every contact point, that gives you the contact points with the customer, your interface, your interaction with the customer at each and every mode of communication. That gives you opportunity to get the kind of feedback from the customer. What how, like, what kind of differentiation are they looking for, or to what extent it has to be, they feel that your product is different in compared to the competitors. So as I said, there are different tools for the differentiation. So these tools could be in terms of product and features, services, channel of distribution, people, or image. If I talk about product and features, it must talk about something as style, quality, and design. Whereas the services means it has to be speed or convenience, channel means the coverage, and the performance, people means the employees. I mean, the executive. So are they customer friendly, or are they having expertise in dealing the customer complaint issues and all. And image sometimes is, again, a company can position themselves as through the image, a proper image, like through a symbol, creativity, and reputation. So I have five for these five different tools. I have five different examples. So let's go through one by one. The first one, if I'm talking about the product and features, you have example of vitamin water. Although it looks like a water, right? But it's not. It's a kind of demand, right? Needs and demand. You know the difference between needs and demand. So vitamin water is the demand. It's not a need, right? So it's a kind of, it's not a normal water. It's a kind of, see, I'm talking about the features. So it's not a normal water. It's a flavored water. It's a kind. It's a having a different color, and also very important. It is good for the health. It contains the element or a component of vitamin C or different vitamins. You see, it's a different sort of positioning in the so that is the example of product or features. The second one is for the services, like speed and convenience. What do you think? How the Amazon has differentiated themselves? Yes, their services are speedy and convenient. What about the third one? The channel of distribution. If you go through the firm like Caterpillar, who are in the earth making, earth moving equipments, and big transformer and electrical goods and all, they are very having expertise. So they sell their product only through the their own exclusive channel, where where and they have the good amount of coverage even in Australia. So the channel could be a kind of a source of differentiation, that this product, your product, will be only available at the exclusive showroom, where the company executive will be directly hand, you will be get in touch with the company people who will directly try to promise you and convince you regarding whatever the features, promises the company has wanted to offer. Think about the Starbucks, like they are positioned clearly in terms of the people who are serving to the customer. Are they expert? Having expertise? Yes, they are very, very customer friendly. Think about the company like Coca-Cola. They have positioned themselves as an image, as a symbol, or creativity or reputation. So what this they promise, the Coca-Cola, what promises they do with you? I mean to say that the Coca-Cola, they promise what? Happiness. They promise to deliver happiness. Maybe you can see the more vibrant life if you buy and drink Coca-Cola. So these are the different positioning of the different uh, products. So these are the tools of differentiation, which is valued by the customer, and it has to be consistent with your positioning or positioning statement. Think about like more example, like in the people we have the exam we have seen the example of Singapore Airlines. They were giving more and more training to their staffs in order to have a kind of uh, better customer service and satisfaction. So now another question is, as a marketer, you're thinking that okay, differentiation is important, we should differentiate our product with the competitors, and now we found something which is clearly indicates that this is a source of differentiation. But the next question as a marketer you will ask yourself, to what extent to what extent one can differentiate? I mean to say, does we have to differentiate on each and every attributes? Something some sort of discussion is required further in order to understand the differentiation. So what is there? But the question is, but how much uniqueness do you really need? How much uniqueness, how to what degree of differentiation is really required? So for that, so, uniqueness in terms of product or services. So what, to what extent? We don't have to be better in every single category that matters to customer. We don't have. For some category, we have parity, or what we call points of parity, POP. So what is POP? The attributes that approximately match those being offered by the competition. On the other hand, we have points of difference, that is POD. The key attributes that give your product a competitive advantage over the competition. So again, the question is, to what extent uniqueness do you need? You don't have to. You don't have to be better in each and every category, in each and every attributes which customer says that it's matter for them. I think we have like example over here. The case of Volkswagen and Renault. You see the points of difference and points of parity. In these two companies, if you compare the points of parity, both having worldwide preferences, presence, huge communication budget, motorsports presence, so sporty looks, both are. So these are the points of parity. Whereas point of difference is very unique for the Volkswagen and for the Renault. For the Volkswagen, it is a German quality, premium price, luxury car, presence in the US, and major home production. Whereas for the Renault, it's a relatively moderate level of price or the cheap price. They are also in the electric vehicles, keeping in mind the environmental production, and that is made in France. So idea is to have a kind of some sort of points of parity and points of differences. It has to be a combination of both. Both is important. Take another example of Singapore Airlines and Southwest. What do you think? What is the what their points of parity? I'm sure in the airlines industry there are like various activities where there are possibility of parity. But what are the point of differences? Points of difference for the Singapore Airlines compared to South Wales? Yes, Singapore Airlines is known as best, providing the wow or the best services in the world. I mean, they have the splendid customer service. Their executives are are highly trained. If you compare to the Southwest, they are not bothering about those things because they are those are the no frills, cheap like prices are less. The cost, I mean to say, so you could clearly differentiate these two firms on the basis of point of parity and point of difference. So you don't have to worry about 100% of uniqueness or 80% or 60. There could be the optimal situation will be a kind of balancing of both points of parity and points of difference. So what we understood, like the different tools of differentiation, but we don't have to compete on all, we don't have to differentiate all on all the attributes like product, services, channel, so there could be a kind of combination of attributes where you can have a difference and where you can have the parity. But related to this, we have another question that is again very interesting. What do you think if any firm they are coming with lots of packages, I mean to say lots of benefits, if they are offering multiple benefits, multiple attributes, yes, the customer will surely get attracted. But what if some of the firm they don't have a kind of large amount of attributes which attracts the customer? I mean to say, the question is, can fewer features be better? Certainly, one can beat the competition by giving our customer more and more and more. But other situation where fewer features are be better, can you think of some of the example? Some of the company firms or specific example where they offer fewer attributes and still they are doing very good. They succeed. So, do you have some examples on those lines? Or do you think that can fewer features or attributes be better for company success? There are some best-selling books which argue that the answer is yes. I request you, I argue to I'll suggest you to go through all these books if you have time. The different from Young May Moon, Blue Ocean Strategy by Kim, and the Innovator Dilemma by Harvard professor Kristen Clayton. So all these authors, they argue that you will find customer who like unique value instead of having a combination of many values. There are customer who like very unique and with the fewer features, the unique value in terms of product, which is simpler and more convenient, which is simpler and more convenient than what they had before. So, by the way, I will recommend you to read all these three books as a marketeer. The Blue Ocean Strategy, Innovator Dilemma. You know, in the Blue Ocean Strategy, they talk about, they compare it with the Red Ocean Strategy. Most of the company nowadays, they are, their strategy is more as a red ocean strategy. I mean, they're not unique in terms of their differentiation and positioning or the value proposition. Whereas the firm which are in the blue ocean strategy, they are trying to create a new market itself, right? Untapped market. The red ocean strategy, if you enter in that particular business or in particular industry, you'll it's a kind of me too. Like others are providing the similar product, I'm also providing this. It's a kind of me too strategy sort of thing. But blue ocean strategy, the firms, they are trying to untap new market altogether. Innovator Dilemma, it's a very highly, I will suggest you must read the some of the key concept which has been discussed in this book, The Innovator Dilemma. It's very unique thing. So the question is again, can fewer features be better? Yes, that's why These are the firms like I think there is a small video. I will suggest you to go through this one. It will give you an idea like why I'm saying that the fewer features could be a better solution. And there are evidences that the firms are who offer a better solution with the fewer features, they succeed. So uh, let's watch together this video. Very unique. Let me share that.
I recently read the book Blue Ocean Strategy by authors W. Chan Kim and Renee Maborn. Everyone knows that if you want to be successful in business, you need to beat the competition, right? Well, according to professors W. Chan Kim and Renee Maborn, striving to beat the competition in an established market is a bad business strategy. If you try to enter an established market like the fast food market with the hopes of outperforming the competition, you are adopting what the authors call a red ocean strategy. In today's world, thanks to the rise of technology and the widespread access to information, it's too easy for businesses to enter an established market and saturate that market. When a market is saturated, the only way to succeed is battling for market share, which turns the market waters bloody and red, hence the term red ocean strategy. If instead you focused on sailing past red oceans in search for blue waters of untapped market potential, you'd increase your chances of survival and profitability. When authors W. Chan Kim and Renee Maborn studied 108 new businesses across 30 different industries, 92 of those businesses adopted a red ocean strategy and aimed at outperforming the competition. The remaining 16 businesses adopted a blue ocean strategy and avoided competition in search for a new category that they could dominate. When looking at the collective profits of all 108 companies across several years, the 92 red ocean businesses only accounted for 39% of the total profits. That meant 61% of the profits were generated by the 16 blue ocean businesses. Upon further study, the authors discovered that the blue ocean businesses went on to dominate their respective markets for 10 to 15 years after their initial launch. So how can we use a blue ocean strategy to find an uncontested ocean of opportunity and dominate a market for over a decade? To find the answer, let's look at how a company called Casella Wines used the blue ocean strategy to create a new category of wine that would become the best-selling wine in Australian and United States history. When Casella Wines set out to create a successful new wine product, they knew that competing with existing wine brands in the traditional manner would be extremely difficult. They would need to establish their brand over the span of several years and hope to win several awards along the way to gain the favor of existing wine drinkers. So, they decided to take a different approach. Instead of focusing only on wine drinkers, like most wine businesses do, they focused on beer and cocktail drinkers, consumers in adjacent markets of other alcoholic beverages who either infrequently drank wine or avoided wine altogether. They approached these non-customers of wine and asked them a few questions, like why did they avoid drinking wine? And what was it that specifically discouraged them from drinking wine? These non-customers of wine shared many of the same reasons for avoiding wine. The first thing they mentioned is that purchasing wine is intimidating. Having to choose from such a large variety of wines makes the process of purchasing wine overwhelming. Secondly, to most non-wine drinkers, wine is unpleasant to drink. It's either too bitter or harsh, or too sweet. And lastly, wine didn't seem very much fun to drink compared to beer or cocktails. It seemed too fancy, stuck up, and elitist. So Casella set out to make a wine that would appeal to these frustrations of non-wine drinkers, while at the same time still producing a wine that would be considered high quality to most wine drinkers. What they came up with was a wine called Yellowtail. Non-wine drinkers actually found it very easy to drink. It was sweet enough to keep their palates fresh and keep them wanting more, but not too sweet as to be associated with cheap wine. Casella had created a new category of wine that was fun, easy to drink, and relatively high quality. However, what ultimately caused a large portion of non-wine drinkers to embrace the new category of wine was its incredible value. Yellowtail was a high-quality, innovative new product at an incredibly good price, a price that was comparable with most beers. The ability to create an innovative new product while at the same time keeping costs low is what the authors call value innovation, and it's at the heart of every blue ocean business. To achieve value innovation and discover blue oceans of opportunity, Casella Wines adjusted 4 levers during the development of the Yellowtail: eliminate, reduce, raise, and create. First, they eliminated the aging process of their wine and saved money on oak barrels and storage costs. Then they reduced the inventory to just 2 wines, a white Chardonnay and a red Shiraz. By focusing on what they could eliminate and reduce from the standard practices of winemaking, they could reduce the cost of their product while simultaneously increasing the appeal to infrequent or absent wine drinkers who valued something much simpler. After eliminating and reducing, they looked at what standards they could raise. They raised the freshness and drinkability of their wine, so it was easy on the palate like beer or cocktails. And finally, they looked at what they could create by incorporating practices from adjacent markets, like the beer industry. They created a new wine label that was simple and somewhat adventurous, like many beer labels. It just had a picture of a kangaroo and stated that the product was from Australia. It didn't have the age of the wine, and it didn't have fancy terminology that stressed the art and science of winemaking. They then came up with a bottle that could be used to bottle both white and red wine, the first of its kind. This is something that the beer industry had been doing for years with a variety of beers in the market. Playing with these 4 levers allowed Casella Wines to create its own wine category of fun, unintimidating, easy drinking wine. It attracted a whole new group of customers to the wine market in an area of the market that Casella Wines could dominate for years to come. And because they created the category of fun, easy drinking wine, they had a huge head start on the competition, making it extremely hard for competitors to steal their market share. This is the power of blue ocean strategy, and there are several businesses who have used this strategy to dominate their market. Another blue ocean business example is 5 Hour Energy, the mini energy drink that you see on the counters of almost every convenience store. 5 Hour Energy created the new energy drink market of 2-ounce bottles, and it maintained a 93% market share of that market category, despite competition from major competitors like Coke and Red Bull. Because they created the category and got out to a huge lead on future competitors, they continue to dominate that category today. If you are interested in finding blue waters for your next business idea and dominating a market for years to come, start by focusing on the frustrations of customers outside of your current market space. Then look at existing products or services within the market and ask yourself 4 things. What can I eliminate? What can I reduce? What can I raise? And what can I incorporate to create something new and attract infrequent or absent customers? By pulling these 4 levers, you can gradually develop a product that defies the status quo and creates a new product category that you will dominate. So stop focusing on how you could beat the competition and start focusing on how you can make the competition irrelevant. That was the core message that I gathered from Blue Ocean Strategy. It's an innovative book that I think every aspiring entrepreneur or business person should read. I highly recommend it. If you would like a 1-page PDF summary of insights that
So did you like the concept of blue ocean strategy? Did you yes, did you notice the concept, like the concept of value innovation?
Yeah, it's like don't focus on competition, just focus on what you can do best, basically.
Exactly. How to make the competition irrelevant instead of fighting with the competitors, how to make the competition itself irrelevant. It's a different approach. It's altogether the different approach in terms of the strategy. These guys have different approach, or a different strategy, different view of doing the same activities, but different view, different way of doing the same thing. So it's very, very unique. So that's why I would suggest every one of you, please read all these 3 books. It will give you even Innovator Dilemma. I was keep saying that the book has been designed on this one microchip industry, where all the operating system and all. It's a like they have studied on the technology oriented format. Lots of good steps are there in the Innovator Dilemma. So so positioning and differentiation. So it's a it's a kind of tool, like it's a kind of a concept, like as a marketeer you have to be very very careful. So going ahead, so what are the key concepts we have touched, like we have discussed just now? We went through a small recap of the marketing concept. We understood the positioning and differentiation a little bit in there. So we'll now discuss about the value proposition before the break, like after the break, and then uh, unique value proposition, UVP. So anything else, like till now, if anything is not clear or anything you wanted to add? Otherwise we'll go for the 5 minutes break and then we'll continue again. Otherwise just go for the 5 minutes break, then we'll continue, and then we'll have another round of discussion. Okay, so let's start with the very important concept for today's discussion, that is value proposition. The VP is the last topic for the today's discussion. How to define value proposition then? It says that a cogent statement articulating the specific benefits a company is offering its target market. What is cogent? Cogent statement. Cogent means very clear, logical, and convincing statement. So it has to be very, very clear, your statement. It has to be logical, and it has to be convincing. So, it's a kind of value proposition is a kind of acid test to make sure that marketer has something so that customer is going to buy. It's a sort of acid test. Do you have value proposition? You need to confirm as a marketeer of the firm. Do you have some sort of value proposition or some acid test? I mean, marketers have something so that customer can come and buy. So altogether, the value proposition answer the following question: why should the customer buy your product? Although in the positioning, you're saying that you're trying to position in the mind of customer. In the differentiation, you are just claiming that your product and services are differentiate. You are able to differentiate it from your product. Although you have a proper positioning or proper differentiation, but the question is why the customer will buy your product. That is not covered in the concept of positioning and differentiation. They are not giving the answer of why the customer will buy your product. So altogether, the value proposition is something which answers this question: why should the customer buy your product? There are different ways. There are many ways to create a value proposition. In terms of as simple as the list of key benefits. If you're all the benefits, you're just listing it down, and you could claim that this is the value proposition we have. But there are another way. So how to create a value proposition? There are another way is to use a template like this, which we have on the screen. It's a kind of template to create the value proposition. Idea is to answer this question: why the customer should buy your product? Keep that one in the mind. We are trying to give the answer of this by crafting a value proposition statement. Why should the customer buy your product? And for that, we are crafting a statement. So this is a template, and it looks like when our customer buy and use our product so and so, instead of a competitive offerings or competitive solution, they will receive a bundle of benefits. What key benefits means? They will receive a bundle of benefits because what unique capability delivers that benefits. So it's a kind of simple template to recite, to define, to craft a value proposition of your firm. So it's trying to give an answer of why should the customer buy your product. Let's take an example. Let's take an example of merino wool t-shirt. How this company has crafted the value proposition statement. So it says that when our customer buy and use 100% merino wool t-shirt instead of traditional cotton t-shirt, they will be receiving warmth, comfort, and a snug fit because of the insulation and the softness provided by 100% merino wool and our special fitted design. So in the template, they were asking like, when our customer buy and use 100% merino wool t-shirt. You see, so with this example, the company is trying to use this template to make their own statement. So important thing is you need to have one clear product. You will do the same thing for your assignment as well, right? You try to formulate a kind of value proposition of your key products which you are targeting, which you are considering for your project. What product they are you have to choose, and what competitive position, instead of traditional cotton t-shirt, and the set of benefits, what key benefits: warmth, comfort, and snug fit, proper fit. And the very important is what unique capability deliver those benefits. So in this case, the insulation and the softness provided 100% wool and the fitted design. So you need to craft a value proposition statement like this using this template. So I have a question for you. What is the value proposition for a key product offered by your organization? I think recently you have submitted your individual marketing assignment. If you are able to recall, could you tell me, some of you, could you tell me what value proposition company had? Could you recall the kind of value proposition of your offering which you have selected in your individual marketing assignment? Can you try? Or even if you're a university student, can you think about what value proposition NIC is offering you? Or the University of Newcastle, what value proposition they do offer to the student?
So the company I choose for my individual assessment, Nintendo, I have stated that their value proposition is quote unquote the switch and play for the Nintendo Switch. So like that's their marketing value to sell to the customers.
Okay. Did you did you prove the claim? Did you put some evidences for the support? How those values or benefits are being achieved? Probably not. But anyway,
Yeah,
it has to be, the value proposition has to be like, what is your product, what is your, how you're differentiating, what benefits you're offering, and the claim to support that one, what you have, what capabilities your firm has to support that one, to provide that benefit. Then only it will be a kind of complete component of the value proposition. Although you are like, I'm not saying you are wrong or right, but yes, it has to, you need to, if you're succeed in putting all the components, all the four components together, it gives you a kind of better clear positioning in terms of the value proposition. Anybody else wanted to try? What do you think? Any like from others? What do you think? What value proposition NIC has for you? Let me open that slide for you so that you can think. Or maybe recently, I'm sure like by this time you guys have selected the company name and the product line for the group assignment. Can you think about that? Like, can you think about crafting a new value proposition for your firm on which you are working? Anyway, keep that one in mind, and if possible, you can put some this sort of discussion in your assignment, situational analysis report. Try to craft and put it in there. I will be able to I will be happy to see those discussion in your assignment. So we have understood the concept of value proposition, which trying to give an answer of why the company, why should the customer buy your product. And we have seen the kind of template. There are various ways, but this is a simple template which can be used to craft the message in terms of value proposition. Okay, so putting it all together, positioning, differentiation, and value proposition. That's what like our objective today, to understand all these three concepts individually, and then if you put all these three concepts together, what will happen? What do you think? What is positioning, differentiation, and value proposition? Once again, the positioning is determining the distinctive place you want your product to occupy in the market and in the mind of customer. Differentiation is designing your product offering so that it has one or more unique qualities which is valued by the customer. Whereas the value proposition is gives you the answer. It's a kind of acid test. The marketers wanted to claim, and it gives the answer of why should the customer buy your product. So if you put all these three together, good positioning statement, good differentiation, and good value proposition statement, if you put all this together, that will give you some sort of indication towards a new construct that is known as unique value proposition. The concept of unique value proposition. I mean, the unique value proposition does contain good positioning, good differentiation, and good value proposition statement. So the next one is, we are trying to understand in short it is UVP, unique value proposition. So it gives the answer of all three. It must contain some discussion about your positioning, some discussion about your differentiation and value proposition. So can UVP be proven? So UVP is like, it's a kind of uniqueness. I mean, to uniqueness in your positioning, uniqueness in terms of differentiation, uniqueness in terms of your value proposition. Why uniqueness is required? Because you want it to be the best option for the customer, for the target customer. Keep that in mind. The unique, whenever we talk about unique value proposition, that means it's not a normal customer, regular customer, target customer. You wanted to position yourself as a best option for the target customer. But being in the best is not enough. I mean to say, if you're claiming, you must provide some evidences. So the people need to believe the brand is the best option for them, and for that the brand must prove their claims. So something more in terms of unique value proposition, if you're trying to formulate or design the unique value proposition, you must support the positioning, differentiation. If you have, you must support that one. You must have some proper claiming for that. So the unique value proposition try to give an answer of all three questions, customer questions of what, how, and why. Why customer will buy, how they will buy, and what they will buy. So it tries to give the answer of all these together. What are the benefits of using your business? How can you get them solve the problem, and what should be? So it gives the answer of all the questions which is there in the mind of customer. So as I said, the brand or the company must prove the claim. We went through this exercise, this case study at the beginning, the case of Volvo statement, and I was saying that you read the conclusion statement. In the double quote, it is a kind of unique value proposition. They are trying to position very uniquely in compared to the competitors. And as I said, you must have a support for the claim. So in the statement itself, it is written here, the supporting components of the positioning statement. Logo represent style and strength. Consumer reports says that the consumer think the Volvo when they think about the car safety. You see the positioning. It means there is a consumer reports. It's some evidence they are showing to support. There are some. They have done some sort of crash test, which resulted in like showing the more and more safe car. Also, like they have some scientific uh, technology, scientific proven technology in terms of first pedestrian deduction features. That means people can believe. I mean, the customer can believe if this whenever they say that they are the safest car on the earth. So people are there to believe because they have some supporting evidences in that support. So in the unique value position, which is whenever like you're trying to prove yourself as the best option for the customer, but you need to have supporting evidences. So the core of value proposition is made up of the ideas that clearly make the best choice for the people. So when the moment you give the supporting evidences and all, then people will think about, no, you are in reality, you are the best option for us, for them. By offering the unique set of the factors that set apart from the customer. A very small video, I think so. Yes, I think I have one very small video, probably help you to understand UVP. But try to understand whenever we talk about unique value proposition means you as a firm trying to position in a best way in the mind of customer with the supporting evidences. It's not only the claim, you have the supporting evidences for that claim to support. So let's go through this video, small video for 2 minutes, how to create a unique value proposition.
Your UVP. Your business's unique value proposition is the basis for every message you're sending out. If you own the only shoe repair service in town, your gigantic unique value proposition may be that you're the only shoe repairer in town. It's enough to hang up a shoe and have somebody come to you. If there are 15 shoe repair shops, however, you need to be the one that stands out in the crowd somehow. Identifying your unique value proposition is no easy task because it's not just about being valuable. It's about being unique. What do you bring to the table that others do not or cannot or are not willing to? How does someone know that you're good at what you do? Contrary to popular belief, it's not about the R's. Better, faster, cheaper. It's about the S's. Those are, you're the best. You are the fastest. You're the cheapest. If you just tell me that you're cheaper, are you Walmart? Because they're the cheapest. And if you tell me about how you make people happier, are you Disneyland? Because that's the happiest place on earth. And Zappos, the best online service. And the wine bar downtown, the largest selection of wines by the glass. That's something I'll tell my friends about. My dentist, he's the friendliest. And that's why I go there. And that's his unique value proposition. Think about what is it that you bring to the table? And sometimes that's hard to do when it's you. How about you ask some of your best clients, people that view you from the outside, and say, why did you choose me over someone else? Unfortunately, there will always be a portion of the population that ignores you. It doesn't matter how good your unique value proposition is in those cases. Those consumers just don't need what your company has to offer right now. And that's okay. Because if you're memorable, they'll come back to you when it matters, or they might just end up being a surprise referral source in the end.
So let's have a discussion over here. What do you understood with the term unique value proposition? Do you think that nowadays every organization has something as a USP, UVP? Or is it very rare? Not everybody can claim, or not everybody can say that they have unique value proposition. They have the value proposition, which we have understood. They have the positioning. They have the differentiation, sources of differentiation. They have the value proposition. But do you think all the firms which are operating in the market, they do they have a unique value proposition, UVP? What is your comment? Can we have a kind of a small discussion on this, around this? Think and speak one by one. Anyone?
Okay, I'll be the first to say something.
Yes, please go ahead.
Uh, I think it is actually kind of hard to create a UVP because uh, just defining yourself in one word may, is actually difficult. So, just like the girl said on the video, try asking people first before you absolutely have something in mind about yourself for your company.
So you agree with this one that it's difficult to create USP, right? Unique value proposition, because and think about the claiming. If you're claiming something and you are communicating those things through the various advertising and other medias, people can go to the government agency, and they, if your claim is not proper or it's false, maybe later on you have to suffer a lot. Maybe your brand equity and your the brand name will go down if you are claiming for something which you don't have. So in terms of, if you are saying that you are the only provider in the world, right, or you are the first in the country, like in the country, or on the earth, to provide these services. So if just saying is not enough, you need to have some sort of some scientific agency, or maybe some geographical survey analysis, or some sort of um, company report, some sort of reporting has to be there, which supports your claim. Some sort of marketing analytics agencies could have given you some. So you need to have support for that claim. Otherwise, crafting or saying that we are very unique and all, it's not really going to work. Yes, it's very hard to craft, or very hard to claim for this one, that you have a very this sort of uniqueness. Not every firm has, like, it's not easy a cup of tea for most of the organizations. They do have, as I said, they could have proper positioning strategy, they could have proper source of differentiation or something in terms of value proposition, but claiming for unique something uniqueness is like a bit more challenging. And it's, yes, any other comment? I agree with that. Yes, let me ask from someone at random. Yes, Juhu Frank, are you here? Tina Chang, are you here?
Yes.
Yes, could you comment on this one? And any of you? Any view across anything, like maybe the positioning, or maybe the differentiation, value proposition, or the unique value proposition? Anything, any comment, or any point of view you wanted to share? Please go ahead with that. Nothing? So I'm assuming that, okay. Yes, yes. So maybe Anas, are you here? Donimala, what is your opinion on this?
The video.
Any comment across anything,
I don't have any comment.
or anything you'd like to add, or why you think that creating a USP is not a kind of easy thing, or something like on those lines?
What was that? USB?
Yes. So, okay, go ahead with that. What is there in your mind?
Wow.
I talked about UVP, not USP. I think you have used the term USP, unique selling proposition.
Yeah.
Okay, but we had a discussion on UVP, unique value proposition. Okay, what is the difference between these two? If you know, just let us know how the USP is different from UVP. Others, can you think about, like C has pointed out the term unique selling proposition, like proposition. That is another key marketing concept. It's more about selling concept actually. What do you think? Like, which one is the like broader term? Unique value proposition is the broad term, or the unique selling proposition is the broad term? Selling is like more unique selling proposition is like kind of concept under the broad UVP. First, you have to think about unique value proposition. Based on that, you communicate to your customer through the selling processes. So, in this unique selling proposition, they will ask, if suppose you are a sales executive going to have a presentation over there, they will ask what are your UVP, unique value proposition, and your selling strategy will be based on your UVP. I mean to say, you can't claim in the selling process something which is not your UVP, which is not the kind of value or the features. If company is not offering 10 years of kind of warranty and guarantee, and you can't sell it on those lines while having a kind of selling presentation. So UVP is the broad concept which we are trying to understand here. Unique value proposition. Is that clear to some extent? But we are not dealing here, or not discussing here anything about the unique selling proposition. If I could have taken another course like selling and sales management, I could have taught you the different attributes and the components of USP, unique selling proposition. But this is the case of marketing, basic foundation of marketing. That's why we have a broad concept of UVP, unique value proposition. But overall, what we try to understand, let's go back. What are the things which are remaining? So if we understood the unique value proposition, as I said, unique value proposition does contain every aspect related to the positioning, differentiation, and value proposition, and the value proposition. So you could see it does contain the benefits, the features, the image, as well as differentiation tools, competitive advantage, the proof points, the claiming, supporting the claim and all, and the values. So it has to be kind of a mix of everything, all these three: unique value, the value proposition, differentiation, and positioning. Okay, I think this one is the the last slide for this discussion. Let me go through quickly this one. Oh, this slide is from the literature, or you can say from the strategic management philosophy. They talked about these three disciplines, the value disciplines. One is the operational excellence, second one is customer intimacy, and the third one is product leadership. A firm can add a value for being a operational, for showing the excellency in their operation. I mean to say, If you are able to achieve the operational excellence, what will the outcome will be? The overall cost will be reduced. I mean, in that case, you will be having a cost leadership. So the main focus center will be automation of manufacturing processes and the work procedure in order to streamline the operation, in order to reduce the cost. That is the kind of operational excellence kind of discipline in order to have a kind of value, in order to add the value, customer value to the customer or to the company. The second discipline is customer intimacy, that focuses on offering a unique range of the customer service that allows for the personalization of the services. I mean, the second approach is customer intimacy. Everything is centered around the customer. What they need, they want, what desire they have. So in order to fulfill those, you have a very specific, very focused approach to satisfy, to make them happy, to create a wow effect. So that is a customer intimacy approach. In that way, also you can one firm can create a value to the customer. And the third one is product leadership, that aims to build a culture that continuously brings superior product and services to the market. That's why it is a product leadership. Means you are having very strong support, R&D support, or the different ideas, new ideas. People are very effective in terms of coming up with the great ideas, and then you are able to have a continuous basis on the superior product in the market. So that is the product leadership. And through adding through that process also, you are adding actually value to the customer. So these are the operational excellence, customer intimacy, and the product leaderships are the different discipline for the value creation. That is from the book, The Discipline of the Market Leaders by the Tracy and Winersma. So you can have. But what do you think? Do you think these disciplines are somehow similar to one of the concept which I discussed in the last class during the corporate strategy? Are you able to relate these three with anything else which we have previously learned together? Any one of you? What I'm saying that these three value concepts, these three disciplines are more closer to some of the concepts which we have learned in the last class. I just wanted to know that are you able to recall, or are you able to link it, these three philosophy with the one which we taught earlier? Any one of you? No? Okay. What I'm if you could remember in the last class, we talked about Porter's generic strategy. Porter's three generic strategy. Now, are you able to recall? What are those three? It was cost leadership, focus, and
Differentiation.
exactly. So
Okay.
somehow these three are related to the first one, operational excellence. It is the cost leadership, same as the Porter's business generic strategy. The second one is the focus, which the customer intimacy is just like as close as the business strategy as the focus, which Porter's has suggested. And the product leadership, where you are trying to differentiate and continuously you're trying to bring the new product and services to the market. So it's somehow you can relate all these three discipline with those Porter's generic strategy. So I think this one is like all about the today's discussion. So let's go through. So the overall what we understood, we revisited some of the basic marketing concept at the beginning, and then we understood the positioning, differentiation, value proposition in greater detail with so many company specific examples. And finally, we ended with the unique value proposition, that just for keeping in mind, the company is trying to be best. Not every company is trying to be best. So there are certainly some firm around the world who is continuously driving for the best. So for them, unique value proposition does matter a lot, not for others. But for others, positioning, clear differentiation, and clear value proposition. All these three concepts are very, very important. And as per from the marketer point of view, it's very, very important. So putting all together, yes. So you like with this one, positioning, differentiation, and value proposition, you will be able to answer all the major questions regarding why the customer, what the customer will buy, why they will buy, and from where they will buy. So all the questions will be answered using all this position, all this through this all marketing concept. Do you have any doubt? Otherwise, we will talk regarding the project assignment update and all. Right. Any doubt from till now? So I'm stopping the recording here, and then we'll have a next 10 minutes discussion regarding on the update.